And get things started. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Hale, Community Outreach Supervisor for Greater Nevada Credit Union. Thank you for joining us on this recorded presentation. We'd like you to put yourselves on mute until the question and answer sections, and feel free at that time to take yourselves off mute and ask questions of our presenter today. Greater Nevada is finding a growing need for financial education from our community members. Each month, we will be showcasing a financial topic that we hope will help our community move towards financial wellness. If you are interested in learning more about these webinars, please check out our website at gncu.org and search for Greater Financial Wellness Hub. Today's presentation is on budgeting. I would like to introduce you to your presenter, Cristal Chapman. Cristal is the branch manager at Spanish Springs branch, and she has been in the finance industry for over 6 years. She's passionate about educating others on debt, budgeting, and credit. Cristal has attended credit seminars through her financial career, and these topics are what make her more excited to help other members. In Cristal's personal life, she loves to be outdoors with her lab and going on hikes to the water so he can swim. Also, Cristal has been weightlifting for over 3 years and is one of her favorite hobbies because she loves to see her strength grow by staying consistent in the gym. Welcome, Cristal.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to work with all of you and also provide some education. And please feel free to ask questions along the way. I'm going to go ahead and get started and jumping in. Alrighty. So initially, I just want you guys to start and write down the answers to some of these questions. This is in regards to money and also your emotions in regards to finance. What is your first positive money memory? What is your first negative money memory? And what emotions are tied to the concept of money? To get kind of the brain juices flowing and kind of understand what we're looking for in these questions is my first positive experience that I had was that my dad set me up with my own first checking account. And it was a loadable debit card. I was really young. I used to travel a lot when I was a kid. And so in order for me to go around, he loaded up a debit card for me so I had access to spend my money. And if I didn't check it before I went to go spend money, then it'd obviously get declined. And so I had to learn the lesson of making sure that I would check my money on my little account and call the phone number. This is before we had apps. So I'd call the phone number and see how much money I had on that debit card prior to spending it. So that's a first positive memory that I have in regards to my money. And also there's some lessons learned into that. So perfect. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Alrighty, so in this workshop, we're just going to talk about the importance of creating and maintaining a budget, optimizing different ways to organize and save money, and set goals for spending and saving and debt repayment. Ultimately, the goal is with this workshop is really just to release some stress. Maybe we can be like, oh, I'm on the right path. I'm doing a really great job. I'm really setting myself up for success. Or this is an opportunity to analyze where your budget is and to make it better. So where we're going to begin is we're going to cover our needs versus our wants, better alternatives to stretching your dollar, spending, some spending plans and making sure that we are monitoring the components that all go into your spending plan, tracking your income and expenses, and then essentially building that budget fit to your own personal needs. Building tips and recommendations, and also just planning for the tomorrow and also planning for the future, and what resources that you have that you can kind of attack and go through with that way to understand where you're going to be and hopefully setting yourself up for success in regards to your finances. So what we essentially want to do is write down our needs and our versus our wants. What is essentially something that we need to have in order to live our daily life versus the wants. What are some of the things that we want to eventually have in our life, but we don't necessarily need in order to essentially survive. So reviewing all your purchases, I personally like to review my statement. I'm going over specific things that I know I'm spending my money on. And I also include my credit cards into that as well, because it gives a very realistic picture of where your money is being spent. So reviewing a statement and going through like, okay, honestly, like maybe I went to Starbucks a few too many times that I probably should have in order to really tighten up on that budget. So thinking about reviewing all your purchases and thinking what essentially is really important to me and what is important to my family. Do you really need or want everything on this list? Do you need everything in regards to what are things that you honestly want to see? And then also, what are your must-haves in regards to having a home, so rent or a mortgage? I need car insurance, so those are all must-haves that I would need in order to protect myself and also, live the life that I kind of want to live. Touching a little more in regards to your wants and your needs. So the list below, it talks about our monthly expenses that we may see in your budget and what items could be sorted versus needs versus wants. Coffee, I touched on that a little bit in regards to Starbucks. I definitely could use the company coffee that is supplied to me at my within my company, or I could also just make coffee at home instead of spending, honestly, coffee is not $5 anymore. It's kind of $5 to $7, depending on like what you're spending your money on, or what kind of drink you're getting. So coffee is becoming a lot more expensive. So that's an example of, that's more of a want versus a need. Groceries are definitely needs. However, there are ways to make it so we can limit some of our wants on our groceries. And essentially, we don't need to buy name brand everything in regards to our groceries. We can maybe buy the store like the generic brand in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve and also save some money. In general, groceries are really expensive right now. So any way that we can save some money is obviously ideal because of how much the cost is. So in regards to restaurants, we can obviously limit the amount of times that we may go to restaurants. That's also a want, and it's not necessarily a need. Our car insurance, we definitely need that. Different entertainment, we want to enjoy our life, we want to enjoy our paycheck, but we can also limit that. Car payment, we can limit our car payment by maybe having a less expensive vehicle. And our transportation expenses, we can always try to. Sometimes it's really hard to limit, but we can even carpool if that's possible. The rest of them in regards to, your rent, your mortgage, your health insurance, all that, a lot of those are in regards to needs. Clothing, it is a need. We obviously have to dress ourselves. We also have to make sure that we're showing a professional depending on what type of industry that you're in. However, there are ways to save some money, like shopping at consignment stores is honestly one of my personal favorites. I buy a lot of things at consignment stores, or even going the route of, buying on those used websites where there's things that are used. So those are kind of breaking down the needs versus your wants. And there's just so many ways to spend your money. I feel that there's a lot of impulse things that we can buy. And I think that media in general makes it so it's so easy to spend more money on things. And so our iPhones, cable, if that's something that you still use, getting your nails done, dining out, our vehicles, rent, if you're wanting to go to the sporting events, if you're something that's heavily into sports, going to the movies, or even apps that cost money. The holidays, gosh, Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving's coming up, and I'm like, man, I have to really get my things in order for the holidays. And I'm definitely a last minute planner in regards to that. The people that plan ahead of time, props to them, they do an amazing job. And then also traveling, everything just adds up. And so we just need to really go through things with a fine tooth comb and really kind of go through the budget to achieve the things that we want to achieve, but also make sure that we save money. All right. So there are always better alternatives and different ways to stretch your dollar. I did hit on this a little bit. So going and carpooling, if you have the ability to walk to your job, I definitely don't. So we can always take the bus if that is also available for you. Going to free concerts in the park, I personally very much enjoy that when the weather's nice. So that's also another great option. Volunteering at an event. Using discount codes. I do this all the time. My personal favorite is there's this thing, I use it in regards to when I purchase things online as well. It's called Honey, and you actually save it into your browser on whenever you're making a purchase. And it's a search engine that will search coupons for everything that you're like going with this site you're on to find you the best deal. So I recently purchased some AirPods and I got $50 off due to the honey search engine that found me a coupon, which is pretty cool. So saving money, I'm always down for, but also Groupon is a really great thing to save some money as well. Grocery shopping and I meal prep every single week. So for the week, I meal prep for all of our meals. If that's not something that floats your boat, then just pack your lunch at home if possible, to save money as well. And using free apps that you can download, we don't necessarily need to spend money on things that cost money. However, if that's something that you really enjoy, then cut costs other places. We want to essentially enjoy the money that we're earning, but it's finding a balance, everything right now. And then painting your own nails. That's something that I definitely have gotten down with COVID. I mastered doing my own nails at home. That was one of the blessings that came through all this, is that I was able to do that because I used to get my nails done every 2 weeks. So that was a great expense that I was actually able to save money over time. And I just taught myself through YouTube. These are all just examples of how we can stretch our dollar. Again, just finding a balance in our routine and finding out ways that we can stretch money. Spending plan components. So we have our income, our savings, and our expenses. So with our income, it's in regards to, essentially the money that we bring home. And that's how we pay our bills, and that's how we add money to our savings. So savings, we want to definitely have an emergency fund, an immediate, short-term, mid-term, long-term, whatever your goals are. Essentially, that's what the budget is. You want to achieve your goals. So your goals are definitely different than mine. But emergency fund for sure, and short-term and long-term, those are all going to be kind of 3 priorities that people tend to usually go for in regards to saving money. All right, so for our expenses, typically we have fixed expenses, which are what we hit on our mortgage and our rent, our auto insurance. Flexible, which is, do we necessarily need it this month? Maybe that can be like, I don't need clothing this month. Maybe I need to purchase it the following month. So that's more of a flexible expense. And discretionary luxury, like are examples of spending money where it's not necessarily needed, or just things that just increase your lifestyle, whatever that is, and limiting that as well. So fixed is your rent or your mortgage. Savings, so having that emergency fund. Your transportation, healthcare is extremely important. Taking care of your dependents if you have them. Flexible is food, so we hit on that in regards to the buying the generic option if possible, especially with how expensive food has been. Personal items, it's flexible because we're not buying them every single month. We may buy them every other month, whatever your family needs are. And transportation, repair, and maintenance, and also our utilities, depending on how much electricity we use, is depending on how high the bill will be. Water and gas are all contributing to the utility section. Eating out, cable TV, vacations, designer labels, gifts and special occasions. So with the gifts and special occasions, like, setting a budget, kind of planning ahead of time if possible. And then designer labels, honestly, you can shop at your discounted stores to get the things that you would like, the higher quality, if that's what you're wanting to purchase, but just at a discounted rate. And then planning for your vacations as well. All right. And then first we're going to go with, does anyone have any questions?
Hi, Crystal. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Saray Helms. I'm the Community Relations Specialist here, you guys. And we'll have a few question breaks during this seminar, but you're more than welcome. Myself and a few of our team will be here in the chat to help assist any questions that may come in the chat. But we also welcome you during these question breaks. If you wanted to come off mute, you're more than welcome to, or don't be afraid. If you guys have a question, I am more than happy to take that question, and I will go ahead and pause Crystal and ask those. But Crystal, as of right now, no questions. So I think we can go ahead and continue.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so now we're going to just break down essentially how we're going to build that budget. So gathering your financial info and going through your statements, figuring out how much money that you are spending at different places. So we want to get that information kind of laid out and very clear on where the money is being allocated. And then also getting a good understanding of where, like, how much money are you bringing home? Subtract. So for me personally, the way the budget is created here is subtracting out your savings first. The way my mind works is I like to subtract my expenses, my fixed expenses that I have to spend money on. And then I always do my savings last. Honestly, whatever works for you and the way you do it, as long as, the goal is to save money. And so as long as we're able to eventually get money over to start saving that money for the emergency fund. So subtracting out your expenses, flexible expenses. So break everything down in regards to, like, okay, what is absolutely necessary in my life? What are some things that are definitely flexible? And where is the money being allocated and how much are we spending in different areas? And then what is left for discretionary spending? And when you break this down, like, what kind of results are you getting? Are you getting positive results where you're really excited? Like, oh, I actually am doing a really great job with saving my money and also going through, and I do a really excellent job of making sure that I'm not overspending. Or some of the negative results could be that, oh, actually, I think I spent a lot of money in this category, and I definitely should be creating more of a stricter budget for myself so I can achieve the goals of saving some money. All right. So analyzing your spending. Are you currently spending your money in the way that you would like to? What are some ways that help you keep track of your spending? I personally, I don't do anything digital. I do it all on a paper notebook. I have a notebook every single year that I go through. It's like a spiral type of notebook that I use. I do get a harder cover because it makes it easier for me to not get it destroyed over the entire year that I'm using it. I break down my budget every time that my husband and I get paid. And then I also allocate things in the different sections and going through and kind of understanding where the money's going as well. And so that's personally how I do it. However, I have friends that also use a digital budget and they do everything digitally as well. What could or should be shifted or changed in your current spending plan? So analyzing things in regards to where you're spending your money. And if is it possible that you could change? So maybe we've been talking a lot about our expenses, but maybe we need to change our income as well. And so that's definitely a good way to look at it. Like, all right, I've done everything possible. I'm not living the life that I want to live. And so the most important part is just analyzing also the income aspect and saying, is this going to be the most ideal thing for my family and also for myself in order to achieve our financial goals? And planning for the person that you'll be in 25 years. So planning for retirement, whatever you'll be in 25 years, and making sure that you are taking care of that person in the future along with the person in the present. Sometimes this can be really overwhelming. Like, crap, how am I supposed to, I can barely plan for myself right now. How am I supposed to plan for 25 years from now? Just breaking down everything and looking at what are your goals that you want to achieve by 25 or not 25 in 25 years, and what are the things that I want to achieve by then. All right, budgeting tips. So separating your needs versus your wants. Guess low for income. Kind of shoot a little low for that so we can get a very realistic understanding of what our income's at. If you don't have access to your pay stubs, I would always guess a little low, and also guess a little higher for your expenses. My suggestion is like add everything up, maybe add a little more to when you add everything up. Like, how much money am I spending on gas in a month? I think it's very helpful to go over 3 months and look at how much money I've been spending over the last 3 months. Get an average of that by dividing it by 3 and get a really good understanding of how much money in gas have I been spending over the last 3 months. Going over your fixed, flexible, and luxury expenses, including savings as an expense in your budget, and pay yourself first. I absolutely agree with that. I personally had something that came up in my life where my dog unfortunately had to have surgery, and you don't plan for these things. Life loves to challenge us. Things always come up. I feel like as soon as you're like, oh, yay, everything's good, and then something else comes up in our life. And so just really managing, paying yourself first so you can feel relieved whenever you have to pay bills, such as those emergency expenses. Use credit cards so you can get rewarded, but also don't abuse them. Take care of your credit cards. Don't overuse them. And my biggest suggestion is that your utilization needs to be underneath 30%. So 30% or below. What that means is that if I have a $1,000 credit card, then I shouldn't exceed more than $300. The reason why that is because when it comes to our credit cards are usually approved based off of income and also credit score. So someone's not going to give you a $10,000 credit card if you don't make a lot of money and you don't have a great credit history. So you making sure that we are not utilizing more than that 30%. So it makes it easier also, in addition to bettering our credit, it also makes it a heck of a lot easier to pay back as well. Do your homework on loans and financial aid. So get a good understanding of, of loans and financial aid and figuring out what's best for you. Align your budget with your goals and values. So making sure that you are, to relieve some of your stress, we want to make sure that we are aligning the goals that we have for ourselves with our budget so we're able to achieve them. Keeping all your bills and receipts organized. Review and recalculate your budget. I do this every 2 weeks. I look at it, I recalculate everything. I think it just really holds me accountable. This is how I work. You don't have to be every 2 weeker like I am, but honestly, it just really helps me stay aware of what's going on. And if I forget to do it, or if I have things going on, maybe I'm on vacation and I haven't done it, sometimes I get a little anxious about it. I'm like, oh crap, I haven't looked at it. I hope everything's fine. Usually it is. But sometimes just taking a good look at it, it really helps me remind myself okay, I am staying in line, or actually, we did spend a little more money than we probably planned. We need to make sure we are readjusting that and recalculating our budget. Being realistic with yourself, not setting yourself to these really strict expectations. And if you need help, we're here and we'd love to help you. Alrighty. So in regards to debt repayment, there's two different types of debt repayment strategies. The first one is the avalanche method, and the second one is the snowball method. Excuse me. All right, so with the avalanche method, essentially it is paying off all your debts with the highest interest. This is personally what I do if I'm ever trying to attack any sort of debt. I like to pay off the debt that has the highest interest, so I'm not spending a bunch of money by giving it to the bank. So I like to list all so essentially we want to list all of our debts, the highest and lowest to the interest rate, ensuring that your monthly minimum payments are being met in each of them, but packing the highest payments away to the ones that had the highest interest rate. So if I have the interest rate of 28%, I'm going to pack away maybe a couple extra $100 if my budget allows it towards that credit card or that line. And then paying a little over the minimum or the minimum, whatever your budget allows, to the other credit cards. Once you pay off the highest interest one, then you move to the next one, and so on and so forth. The snowball method is paying off the debts of the lowest balance. So listing all your debts from the smallest to the largest, ensuring that everything is still being paid. We want to make sure we make monthly payments every single month. And then paying off the one with the smallest balance first. Honestly, either way, whatever makes you feel like you are making changes in your life and your budget and you're accomplishing your goals. For me, from a money standpoint, the avalanche method makes sense. However, the snowball method, if that's the way that encourages you, if that's the way that's going to make you feel like you're making progress and inching in towards paying off debt, then do that as well. Really, the goal is that making you feel motivated and comfortable in your decisions and achieving your goals. So whatever that case is, honestly, I don't really care. I just want your goals to I want you to be able to achieve those goals. And that's essentially what these two strategies help you do. All right, so creating a budget. There are many budget strategies, and a couple of them are the categories method and the 50-30-20 rule. And we'll dive a little deeper in those in the next slides. All right, so for the 50-30-20 rule, at least 20% of your income is going towards savings or debt repayment. No more than 30% of your income is going towards your wants, and then 50% of your income is going towards your needs. Make sure that you're inputting your net income and not your gross income. So the difference between gross and net, and just to make sure that we're covering that part, is gross is before taxes. So this is the money that I'd be taking home if taxes were not taken out and your other deductibles. Net is the money that I take out after all deductibles and taxes have been taken out of my paycheck. So this is essentially the money that is being direct deposited into your account, or it is the check that you're receiving, however you're being paid by your company. Categories method is more detailed, and it's more towards that percentages of where you're having your budget. So it all breaks down essentially how much we want to put how much of our money do we want to put towards this area. Again, with the budgeting style, as long as it's working for you, don't change anything. If it's working for you, or if you feel, yeah, honestly, I think I would really benefit from the categories method because I've been doing the 50-30-20 rule. Maybe this will help me hold myself more accountable. Again, I will always focus like doing what's best for you, doing what's best for your family, and whatever helps things click and hold yourself accountable. Just do what's best for that in regards to that, and analyzing your budget and being very, very honest with yourself as well. All right. So these are recommendations where we are hoping that where your money will essentially go. So our housing is 35% of our income. Transportation, food, so on and so forth, in regards to what is the goal of how much we want to spend in each of these categories. All right, so the cash flow budget activity, essentially, this is how I do my budget. It works really well for me, but we can do our budget however you want to do it. Some people will do this, and then they also will have like little cash envelopes that they'll stuff their money in, and then they have little sections of where everything will go. It's all helpful as long as it's used in the right way, and it helps your brain understand, okay, this is exactly what I need to do, and it's very clear for you. So this is how I prefer to do my type of budgeting. And I write it all down in my own version of making it for myself. I don't use like a printed document. I just do it in my own, writing everything down. All right, we're gonna stop again for some questions.
Yay, and we definitely have had some really good ones come through. So I think it's a good moment to kind of regroup. We're getting into the really good information that I love. A couple questions came through, and I just want to revisit them. I hope they were answered, but please feel free if you guys want to add anything onto that. The first one, should I define an amount I should save or have in savings before even using funds of discretionary money? Is there a certain amount we should keep? And I think that's interesting. Cristal, I don't know if you want to add to this, but just popped in my head a survey that I read a while ago said a huge percentage of Americans aren't able to even come up with $1,000 in their savings for an $1,000 expense. So that just really speaks to me that, well, 1,000, I would say that's a great goal because most of Americans aren't even there yet. So just to kind of give you, that peace of mind that we're all starting somewhere. Cristal, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so my goal is, I have a specific goal. I have and money that I will never ever touch unless like something really, really detriment happens in my life. And I was that person that didn't have any money in my name. I didn't have any money saved. And so when my husband was deployed, we really, really saved a lot of money, and we just essentially never touch it. So we have a goal of never going below that amount. And this is, again, whatever's crucial to your budget and whatever fits your needs. So if $1,000 fits your needs, then go for that. If you need to set a goal for 5,000, 10,000, I never want to go below 10,000. I know if like things really hit the fan, I can really survive off this $10,000, but I really want to get a goal where I have more of a buffer afterwards. So I guess that savings of that goal would be more of like my long-term type of goal where I would never want to touch it.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point to that, is really having savings for that emergency savings. And I think a great goal, and we try to shoot by, is it is recommended for each person to have 3 to 6 months worth of rent or mortgage of daily expenses and our savings for emergencies, right? I think we just all went through a crazy 2 years, COVID, and many of us found out that we had that 3 to 6 months and it wasn't enough. So again, kind of going back to that. Awesome. I think we're good on that one. We did kind of dive into this with the 50-30-20 rule, but is there a good formula to determine my savings based off of my annual income? I think that kind of works. We should 20% of your income is kind of a general rule to put towards your savings and or debt. Did you want to add to that, Cristal?
No, I think that's good. Just setting a goal for yourself. And sometimes I don't like throwing a percentage out. I mean, it's a good goal and all, but like, don't throw a percentage out for yourself and be like, oh, I have to achieve this by December. No, just say, okay, these are the things that I really want to achieve, but I'll be happy with this number. Say you want to save $5,000 over the entire year. If that is your goal, then if you achieve 4,000, you should be really proud of yourself. And just honestly keep appreciating the work that you're doing, because regardless, one thing is you're here, you're attending this, so you're already on the right path, but also you're analyzing things and you're taking a look and you're growing that education. And that's one of the most important pieces to it.
Absolutely. And we forever grow, right? We're forever adjusting our budget and our needs. And it's really, there's no right or wrong way. It's what works for you. This is just a guidance on how to start, which I love. How do I know if I should tackle, all of my debts first and then start saving? Or should I do both, even if my contribution to my savings will be small?
Again, I'm going to go off of what your needs are, but I always think you should put money towards your savings and pack money towards your debt. So finding a good, healthy balance. That's sometimes I'm like, nope, I'm not putting any money towards my savings over the next month. I need to pay off this credit card. I'm getting bothered by it. So it kind of is your personality, where I have friends and members who they're like, no, I want to be able to put money towards both. This is very, very important to me. Well, if that's something that's super important to you and that you're to sleep at night just perfectly fine, whatever the case is. And so that's the thing. There's not a perfect method to this. There's things that we can suggest, but there's not a perfect method to it. And if whatever helps you feel more relieved, and finances cause so much stress. So whatever is going to help you feel more relieved and feeling like you're really getting on the right path, then do that. If you need to put money towards both categories, your debt and your savings, to feel like you're really on the right path, then do that as well. So that's my I know it's like a generic answer, but
I love that, but it really shows, just like you said, Cristal, use your personal example of like, oh my gosh, I want to pay down the debt on this credit card. I'm not going to put into savings this month. But I think the general idea is, yeah, we're going to promote that both are encouraged. We want you to pay off debt because that's going to save you money. And we want you to save because you're going to earn money on interest. So you're actually earning money, but to have that buffer. Also keep in mind, if some people, again, personal preference, right? I like to do both. I like to pay off my debt and put towards savings. But maybe you take that snowball method that you're talking about and pay off all your debt and then put into savings as you can, right? It's that personal. And sometimes it varies month to month. Absolutely. We're here sitting and I don't know, I work at a financial institution, but I will absolutely connect on that savings certainly isn't easy all the time. It really is something that we put our mind to. So in the beginning, I think this is less of a question, but again, relates back to do what works best for you. In the beginning, I used envelopes with money where I could only spend what was in the envelope. And I think that's awesome. Another question came in through email, but I think you answered that. Two of them were kind of answered on the slides, but I did want to get to them. Should I be making my budget off of net income or gross income? We definitely want to do on your take home, right? Otherwise, you're going to maybe think you had a little bit too much income when we want to shoot lower, just like you said. And then the other one was, should I be adding in child support as income?
If it is money that's getting added to your money that you are able to spend, then yes. So I don't have child support. However, my husband is a disabled veteran. So we have his disabled VA benefits. We're going to add that into our income because that is money that we are allowed to spend. And you're also going to include that in regards to when you apply for loans, home loans, all that is super important because it essentially is going to lower your debt to income ratio, but also give you more of that cash flow, and you want to include that in your budget.
Awesome. Absolutely. I mean, even get creative in thinking of your income. I teach our students, think of your gift cards as income, right? So that's all the questions for now. Really good engagement. We have about 30 minutes and we'll finish up and see if we have some questions for question time at the end. Awesome. Thanks, Cristal.
Alrighty. So these are some of the financial tools that we have available and helping you create your budget. And so I personally love Everfi. It is one of my favorite places to go for education, even for myself. If I'm curious on something or if I wanted to provide education to my members, I will tell them about Everfi and how great of a resource it really is. And I love finance industry. I love talking about money. But if you're not like me, these modules are so short. It's very tiny little bits of education. It's not at all overwhelming. And so just keep that in mind when it comes to like looking at that. You don't have to spend a ton of your time getting educated on this stuff. Creating your budget. And so this will also help you in regards to looking at your budget and creating everything. You could even use this as a tool to guide you in what you would like, and if you prefer to create your own tool. Essentially, again, it just create it how you would like. I use pen and paper. It works for me. And I use some type of guide over the history of my financial education career. I've been able to grow education on how I would like to budget, and that's how I created my own. These additional resources is just balancing out your finances and how to get them. Just so you know, this will also be emailed to you, so you have access to this. You don't have to worry about writing this down at all. All right. And lastly, just thank you so much for showing up here and being here. Essentially, you are growing education and bettering your financial career or financial goals. So I think you're doing an amazing job just by showing up here. But if you guys have any questions, I would love to hear from you guys.
All right, it looks like we have a few coming into chat, which I absolutely love. And while those come in, I just wanted to budge and tell you guys that you will please, just like Cristal said, don't worry about typing any of these or the items that I put in the chat. We'll be sending you a follow-up email, and then upon completion of the survey, just let us know how we're doing. Do you want to learn more? Should we go in depth with something? Your guys' feedback really tells us what the community is wanting and needing, so we do value that. But upon completion of that survey, we'll be sending out all kinds of resources and tools, and included in that, I'm going to share my personal Excel budget worksheet that I use that will calculate that 50, 30, 20. It'll calculate that categories of the utilities and how much you should really be putting in towards that, so you can just plug in your own numbers. But will there be another budgeting workshop? That's a great question. We plan to have absolutely more budgeting workshops in the future. Our 2022 calendar is up, but also this presentation is recorded. So we'll get this all edited and it's posted on our website at a later date. So you're welcome to follow along to this presentation. But also I really recommend, there is that Creating a Budget Everfi course that I had posted in the comments section. And you can actually, again, take your own numbers and create your own budget within that one. Or again, you can use that Excel worksheet that I'll be sending out. Any more questions? That's all I have for now. Let me check the email and see if we have any in there. Yes, and then just as Michelle said, we really encourage you to come to these live ones because it does give that nice opportunity to meet with Cristal instead of having to go into the branch. You can get your questions answered here. I got a question through email, Cristal. It's more regarding debt management and debt consolidation, which I think is a huge topic when we talk of budgeting. But plain and simple, how do I get out of all this? How do I get out of credit card debt? Pretty broad, but I know when we talk about budgeting, debt management just comes definitely along with that.
Yeah, I think the first thing is looking down and figuring out how much debt you have And then also looking into debt consolidation loans. Because with a credit card, your interest rates are, around probably like 14 to 20+%. So you're giving a lot of money away to the institutions that you are housing your credit cards with. So the goal is with a debt consolidation loan is you essentially consolidate everything onto that loan. You're packing down on the principal and earning less interest on those loans. So essentially you're gonna be saving money over time. Whereas with a credit card, you make a $25 minimum payment because you're just trying to make ends meet. You make a $25 minimum payment to your 5 credit cards, but then your interest was $23. So you only made a $4 difference on that credit card, and it just compounded on top of each other again. And then it keeps doing it and it keeps doing it. So it can be very, very overwhelming when you see your credit card not making any progress in regards to the balance. And so my suggestion is that if you don't have 0% interest and you're not able to pack away down on that principal on that credit card, then I would highly suggest doing a debt consolidation loan and consolidating everything to relieve that stress. And also the goal is you would have more money in your budget. But when it comes to debt consolidation loan, please cut them up until you're able to get ahead of yourself, because honestly, time and time after again, I always give the, quote unquote lecture, make sure you cut your credit cards up if you are doing a debt consolidation loan. But a lot of times, unfortunately, I do see people getting in worst situations because they don't cut up those credit cards and they create even more debt. So not only have they paid off all their debt with the debt consolidation loan, now they have racked up tons of more debt in their credit cards. So that's my suggestion, is just making sure that, you are cutting up those credit cards and making it difficult to access them. And being kind of hard on yourself a little bit. Like, okay, I am making good, like, we want to be encouraging, but we also want to be hard on ourselves. Like, I need to be better. I need to cut down on this debt. I'm obviously living beyond my means right now, or I need to change my job and get more income.
I love that. And really, you guys, again, what works best for you, as Cristal says, sit down. Maybe the snowball or avalanche method is going to work great for you. And there is a fine line. And I do recommend you guys come in to speak with Cristal or any of our staff on, is there a fine line? Is it going to be beneficial for you to go into this type of consolidation loan? Are we at that point yet? Or can we still make it work? Right? We're looking for the least stressful and most successful route for you guys. So I would always say, before you jump into anything, sit down, go see Cristal or one of our member service representatives and really chat it out, because there's been plenty of time when somebody thinks they're at that point of getting a consolidation loan, but we'll find you some loopholes to how to get you through. But absolutely, I think that was a great one, right? Coming along with budgeting is, where can we cut expenses? Is that interest? Are we gonna be able to cut there? Look at it creatively in every aspect. That's all the questions that I have for now, and it looks like that's probably all the questions that are coming into the chat. And we made really good time today, you guys. We have 15 minutes left. Again, this presentation will be recorded and posted online, and you'll get all those resources sent to you. But Michelle, would you like to add anything or
Sure.
questions? Yes, I'll pass it off to you guys. Thank you guys for your time. And again, I'll be here in chat if you guys have any more. Please don't be afraid. I will interrupt and make sure we get those questions answered. It looks like we might have one coming in, but Michelle, I'll pass it off to you.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Thank you, Cristal, and to all those attending our Greater Financial Wellness Series. For those that would like more information from Cristal, we'll be sending that information, like Saray said, through email. And we would like you to take a survey and let us know how we're doing, and let us know what topics you'd like to talk about. With that information, Cristal's contact will be there too. If you're interested, like I said, interested in learning more about our webinars, please check out our website at gncu.org and search for Greater Financial Wellness Hub. We are getting ready to post all our 2022 classes and give you a chance to look over. We've added some new classes as well, but we've also added, again, budgeting and credit reporting, because we know that those are essential and sometimes we just need a refresher. So thank you again, Cristal, for that, all you do for us.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.